Good morning, Dennis Neubacher from WWJ News Radio 950. I'm the morning anchor, as you know, between 5 and 10, and we do Facebook every week, and we have a very special show for you today. But before I get to that, I want to tell you we're on the eve of a big snowstorm. Set your alarms early for tomorrow morning. You're going to hear a lot of traffic reports, I'm sure, tomorrow with the amount of snow that we're expecting that we heard from Dean DeVore this morning. So plan ahead for that. While we're talking to the folks that are joining us today, don't forget to share this with folks that you know, and just share it so everybody can see, because we're going to talk about the new Gordie Howe International Bridge, and we're very excited about that. So if you have any questions, any comments you want to make, please let us know where you are when you do that so we can acknowledge you and your name as well. We're very excited for you to look in on what is a very special event, and I want to introduce two people to you that came across from Canada, which I'm very thankful for you for doing. We even offered to pay their toll for this, and I got it. But Mark Butler and Stephanie Campeau, they're both with the Windsor-Detroit Bridge Authority.
That's it.
And you're here to talk about the Gordie Howe International Bridge. You're Director of Communications, and you're involved with the shareholders or stakeholders relations to make sure that everybody is on par with this project. The reason we brought you here, Mark and Stephanie, is we started hearing things, we started reading things in the Windsor Star and some of the other newspapers that the bridge is going to start getting built here soon. Everybody's been anticipating this. As a traffic reporter, I'm thrilled. As a pilot flying over Detroit for many years, seeing the Ambassador Bridge and all the other activities, this is going to change our skyline. So tell us what's going on here. You brought something with you to a video you have to show us. This is very special.
We do, and you've taken one of my lines, because I've often said we're going to be changing the landscape of Windsor-Detroit.
Absolutely.
And certainly we're going to be. This is an animation that we have, and I'm going to give you a preface that it's not to the ultimate degree of design yet, but this will show you the orientation of how the bridge is coming from Canada into what we know as the port of entry, which is essentially the inspection plaza on the U.S. side, and how you will then get into I-75. So obviously, if you look down here, we're on the Canadian side, the Detroit River, U.S. side. We have
downtown Detroit. Downtown Windsor looks cool from there.
At this point in time, we're here showing the I-75. Now, this is the I-75 configuration as it exists today. If you're to take a look at where the bridge is going to be going across, I'm just going to stop it right here. This is the Canadian port of the U.S. port of entry. Pardon me, the inspection plaza. Right. So take a look here. This is where the Lafarge plant is.
Yeah, I see that all the time. You bet. This is Zug Island down here, then too, right?
Island down there. Island. Yeah. And again, the Canadian side. You're going to see here now the orientation of the bridge, how it's going to come across from the Canadian side into the U.S. side.
There's EC Row right here too. Is that where it comes in here? I think.
And that's right. So EC Row, I'm not too sure if we can go over a little further. We can. But EC Row is in fact a continuation of Highway 401, which is the major highway system on the Canadian side.
And you need that for this bridge. You need to have to flow this traffic to flow. You have to have this.
Well,
right?
it's beyond we need. I mean, this is one of the basic sort of importance of this bridge. The Gordie Howe International Bridge is going to allow freeway-to-freeway access. So you're going to be able to come from the 401 across the Gordie Howe International Bridge, hook into the freeway system in the U.S. without any stopping. Currently, in Canada and Windsor, taking the other crossings, you have to actually go through streetlights. Yeah. That's stop-and-go traffic. It's all the particulate matter that's resulting of stop-and-go traffic. It's headaches. This is going to allow the people who are coming from the east coast of Canada, Montreal, even further east, they can go all the way through to wherever in the United States without stopping.
Can I interject in here real quick? That a lot of folks are saying, "Oh no, this is just you're just helping. This is the Ambassador Bridge, isn't it? This has nothing to do with the Ambassador Bridge."
Absolutely.
So let's clarify that. We want to make sure this is an entirely different new span. And whatever the Ambassador Bridge is doing, they're doing on their own. Is that correct?
That's exactly it. The Gordie Howe International Bridge is a publicly owned bridge. It's being financed by the government of Canada.
Thank you.
We have our partner, the state of Michigan. Has nothing to do with the Ambassador Bridge. The Ambassador Bridge is a privately owned structure.
And people are going to wonder about that. Now we've clarified it.
And you know, quite clearly, the Ambassador Bridge will have, there will be a need for another crossing, another bridge, and so people will be using the Ambassador Bridge.
Isn't that something within this area right here? There'll be 4 crossings. to Canada. That's amazing.
In
to
actual
us.
fact, it's going to be more than 4. There's
There's the ferry. There's you can go across in different ways.
That's right.
But you're right. How many different crossings?
So if you look at it from Windsor to Detroit, you have the tunnel, which is essentially passenger vehicles. You have the existing Ambassador Bridge. They will be building a replacement span. You have the Windsor-Detroit barge, which is a ferry service which transports hazardous materials. And you'll have the new Gordie Howe International Bridge.
There's also a train tunnel, right, that goes under there.
There you go. So now you have the train tunnel, which also goes, and it's very important. We consider the region actually a little bit further. We look at Sarnia, Port Huron. The Blue Water Bridge is also an alternate crossing. But what's important
nice
about
trade,
this,
by the way. We built the new span of the Blue Water Bridge. You're building the new Gordie Howe. I think the Gordie Howe International Bridge is going to be a little bit more expensive, though, because this is quite a structure.
This is an incredible structure. We're looking at 6 lanes, 3 in each direction. We're looking at inspection plazas on both sides, and I can tell you that the inspection plaza on the U.S. side is in excess of 160 acres. That is possibly one of the largest inspection plazas anywhere in North America. Right. On the Canadian side, it's about 130 acres. That will be the largest Canadian inspection plaza on the Canada-U.S. border.
I wonder, should we bring up that map here? What do you think, Rob? We have the blank screen now of the video, so we can continue through. Okay, that's good. Go ahead. Thanks,
so we're
Rob.
just going to go ahead
and
again, this is the U.S. port of entry.
Right. So where I'm standing here is where the bridge really is, right? Excuse my backside.
You're going to have to stand all the way over here.
Okay, I'll stand right over here. This is where the Canadian side of the bridge is.
That's right.
I'm going to go across.
And we're going to be going across, and the traffic is going to be entering the port of entry right here. Now, the U.S. Plaza is bordered by the rail corridor, and we don't go all the way to the river. But it's also bordered by Springwells Court and Campbell Street.
Right. Clark Street's a little bit farther over here,
that's
right?
Correct.
And then the Ambassador Bridge, like existing right here.
It's about
over here.
3 kilometers. Well, I'm using kilometric. About 1.5 miles away from where we are.
Works.
One of the more important features of our bridge, and we've been listening to the stakeholders, is that we're providing a pedestrian and bicycle path. It's a multi-use path on the bridge.
Are you really?
We are.
So you mean you'll be able to ride your bike and walk across the bridge?
You want to ride your bike across the bridge?
Is that cool or what?
If you want to walk across the bridge, you can do that. And this is something that we've listened to
I've never
been.
You can't do that any other way.
This is the only crossing between Windsor and Detroit that will allow.
What a great idea! That's fabulous.
But we're talking about ecotourism and so on and so forth. And Stephanie was very involved certainly with that, and I think she will probably show you.
Just out of curiosity, how many stakeholders are there? What are we talking about, Stephanie?
Thousands.
Are there really?
Yep.
With the major ones are what, and then the pyramid goes down from there, right?
You know, the residents, we've been meeting with residents for more than 2 years now. We meet on a monthly basis with their community advisory group. As Mark mentioned, with the cyclists, we did extensive consultation with cycling organizations to find out, is there a need? Will they ride? As Mark mentioned, when you come in, as you can see, so this is where the bridge will come in. And it's obviously safety is paramount, so we don't want cyclists and pedestrians mixing up with the traffic. So regular traffic will go into the inspection plaza. Pedestrians and cyclists will actually come out this way, go to their own inspection station, clear customs, and they'll come out right about here, right onto Jefferson. And
neat.
It will be right across from historic Fort Wayne, which is a beautiful tourist attraction.
Yes, it is.
It's very historical. People will be able to use access.
Will they pay to go across too? If you want to walk across, if you want to ride your bike across, why don't you use your wheelchair across, for instance?
Yeah, some of those policy issues still need to be looked at.
Right.
Will it be available 24/7? What will happen in inclement weather? Tomorrow you probably would not want to be riding a bike or walking across the bridge.
And you don't want people getting halfway across the bridge and throwing stuff over the bridge. You have to protect. There's got to be certain things you're going to need to do here to mitigate some safety concerns and some people who may have some nefarious activity involved,
right. Obviously, there are security measures. This pathway going through the plaza on both sides will be enclosed and protected.
Yeah.
So you won't be able to run around or throw things or do anything like that.
Through the middle of the bridge, is that where the pedestrian, or is it going to be on the side?
No, it's actually on the side.
Oh,
so
okay.
it will be. You'll have a beautiful view of downtown Windsor and downtown Detroit as well. So.
Okay, so they're not, I shouldn't say minority stakeholders, but they're important parts of this. The big ones are, I'm sure, the trucking companies and all these other people. This is huge. The amount of money that's going to cross this bridge on a daily basis must be a phenomenal amount. Have you projected out what you think that might be? You or Mark or you, Stephanie, have any idea what we're talking about here?
I mean, I would, I don't really want to crystal ball it, but what I can tell you is that the existing crossings between Windsor and Detroit account for 25% of all the bilateral trade between Canada and the United States.
Quite a bit.
This is incredibly significant. So, fully 25% of all the trade goes through one location, which is another reason why we're building the Gordie Howe International Bridge. We're building it for, obviously, we want to make sure there's capacity, but we want to make sure that there's redundancy. If any of the other crossings were to fail for some reason, then we have the Gordie Howe International Bridge.
Sure.
Bridge is already going to be offering increased border crossing capability.
Right.
But it's very important to us. One thing I wanted to mention, and
Sure,
just
please.
to segue onto what you were talking with Stephanie about stakeholders, if you notice here the U.S. Port of Entry, the inspection plaza, we just put this little thing in, and this is U.S. football fields, by the way.
Huge.
The perimeter landscape buffer is equivalent to the size of 22 football fields. And that came as a result of the need from the questions from the public on the U.S. side and on the Canadian side. They wanted to know exactly, how is this going to be? How is the neighborhood? How is the community going to be shielded from what's happening within the within the bridge?
Sure. I want to step in here and I want to make sure I invite comments or questions for Stephanie and Mark. Any questions you might have about the Gordie Howe International Bridge or anything about what's happening in that area, both in Canada and the U.S., they'd be happy to answer your questions. Excuse me, Mark.
So
real quick, I do have a couple people joining us. Chris Rosen, they're just thanking us for this presentation. Think it's really cool.
Great.
Sandra Hoskins said they purchased her home 2 years ago and they can't wait to see it completed. So, thanks to everyone for joining us. Keep the questions coming.
Fantastic. Thank you, guys.
And again, I'm just going to back up here a little bit, and I think
You can take this and go back.
okay, we're just going to.
I know how to do that.
You do? Okay.
Thank you. Rob Velasic, who's producing this, is sitting right behind us here. Thank you, Rob, so much.
One of the things that people have always asked about, and whether you cross anywhere at all, is you can have a very good piece of infrastructure, but you still have to go through the customs process. Customs agencies on both sides are looking at ways in which they can expedite clearance. We currently have those. We have Nexus. We have FAST.
How many booths do we have? We have a lot of booths.
Here we go. So on the U.S. side, you're going to have 36 inspection booths. That's huge. Now, it's
that's
going to be
a lot.
It's going to be up to the inspection agency, U.S. Homeland Security, to see how many are open at any one
Question
time.
for you too here, Mark.
Joel Dean is asking about the time frame.
Yeah.
I think what I can tell you is that we're going through what's known as a procurement process to find a private sector partner to build.
When will the contracts finance,
finance?
you think? You're hoping.
We've
got our fingers crossed.
We're
here,
in that
okay?
procurement process. Well, what I can tell you is that we will be making a decision. We will be selecting the private sector partner in June of this year.
That's a huge contract,
That's
isn't
a
it?
huge contract.
What are we talking about in dollars?
I wouldn't want to estimate. I mean, it would be irresponsible for me to say. I mean, obviously, we're talking. It's a
half a billion,
I think it's. I think it's fair to say that this is going to be in the billions of dollars.
No.
But until we actually see what the proposals are, we can't tell you
The return
exactly
on the
what it
investment, because the Canadian government is paying for this.
Yes.
You must have thought that the return on the investment was obviously necessary, and you're going to get this return on investment for the investment that you're making in this bridge.
And I think that's exactly it. If you take
Minister
a look,
itself, he said that.
If you take a look at how critical Windsor-Detroit is to the the shared economies of Canada and the United States,
Right.
This is an important thing, and Canada is willing to finance it because of that.
Can you? I don't want to tip the hand, but we won't say the company that's already asked, but there's already people calling you and asking you guys, right?
Yes.
The Windsor-Detroit Bridge Authority for. Can we purchase land close by? We want to build a restaurant. So things are going to start happening here once this is let and you guys start building this, right?
There's a lot of spin-offs coming
Are
off
there really?
of this. Yes.
And
when
we're
you
talking
look at
about
the area,
restaurants.
when you think about just during construction, you're going to have thousands of people going in there every day to build the plaza, building the interchange into I-75.
Gas
They
stations,
need to
right?
eat,
I mean,
they need to gas up,
yeah.
they need to buy gum, cigarettes, there's all sorts of stuff. They want to go out for a beer on a Friday night. There's lots of opportunities in Southwest Detroit, that's for sure.
The folks in Windsor, I'm thinking, in Amherstburg and all the beautiful communities along that stretch of the shoreline, they're going to benefit from this, I'm assuming, as well, right? I mean, goodness gracious, so much is going on LaSalle, that whole area right there, they're going to benefit from this.
Well, if you take away, the economic imperative, if you will, the increased trade that this new crossing will allow, the increase in job opportunities in the construction and also the operation. I mean, this is going to be resulting in Windsor and Detroit being more accessible. We're looking ecotourism.
Hands across we talked about it, hands across the water. This is a special, we love Windsor. I mean, we've got a question for you.
Sure.
For people who are just joining us, can you back up and show exactly where the two parts of the bridge will be crossing?
Yeah, so we're going to, here we go.
Here, I'll put my finger over here in Canada, right? This is EC Row, right?
That's
here.
right. So essentially, that's what's now known as the Herb Gray Parkway.
Actually, it's following right there.
And there we go.
There it is.
And we're coming in from Canada on the Highway 401.
There's downtown Detroit here, so we see it, and then there's I-75 over here. If that helps that person that's looking in here, and there's the existing bridge, the Ambassador Bridge, right there.
That's right.
Okay.
So just to go back again, and then highlighted in the pink area, coming across the bridge, going into the inspection plaza, and then exiting onto I-75.
Right.
So again, direct connections from both Canada and the U.S. going into Canada.
Right.
One important thing to notice is the main traffic will be routing onto 75. All commercial trucks will have to go onto 75.
Okay. The flow is there. Just going to.
Yep, that's where they're going to be. But if you say you do need to go downtown, you're a local resident, you need to access, you want to go to Mexican Town for dinner, you'll actually be able to exit. If you're in a passenger vehicle, you'll be able to exit onto Campbell Street.
That was a good idea.
Yeah, well, it's needed. You always need local access.
Good thinking.
As well.
So we can see this too. Point out, Mark, I-75 here, so everybody sees it.
So I-75 is right here.
Okay, right there. And
so
then there's, just so everybody knows, that's Gratiot Avenue right there. There's Woodward going up the middle, and then of course the 96 Lodge freeways are in there, which you guys know as well as me. So that gives you an idea. There's where the old Tiger Stadium would be right in here. There's LCA was in here now, and Ford Field and Comerica Park down there too. So it gives you a little perspective. There's Belle Isle right up here too.
Yes.
So that's a perspective too. So this is kind of looking, by the way, northeast, if I'm not mistaken.
That's correct.
Right? Yeah.
The only part of the United States that's north of Canada.
Yeah, isn't that funny? I love that. Yes.
How accessible will both sides be to wheelchair access?
For the pedestrian? Or
Yes.
For...
Yeah, but probably for the pedestrian.
So for the pedestrian, we are still working out those policy issues. It obviously will be AODA compliant for both sides, but in terms of the actual policy that will be put in place, that's still being worked out. But the entire bridge, all of the plaza buildings, they will all be accessible buildings.
What's the length of the bridge? I'm curious. How big is this?
Well, it depends. If you're looking from end to end,
let's go end to end.
We're looking 1.5 miles or 2.5 kilometers.
Okay.
If you're looking at a clear span, and it's very important to note that the piers, which are the main structures that hold the bridge up, will be on land. They won't be in the water, so there won't be any.
I was wondering
with
whether you were going to be. And that's it. And by the way, during this, for those ship captains that are watching, folks who are boaters, will you be restricting any activity on the river during the construction that you can foresee?
We'll have to look at that as it comes. I mean, obviously, when we start doing it and when they bring in the pieces of the bridge, there might be some restrictions. And
it's
again,
tall enough. It's never going to have to be interfered with by anything. How
correct.
Tall is it off the water?
I can tell you this, and again, we haven't seen the final designs because we're still in the procurement, that the pier structure here, they're going to rival the height of the Renaissance Center.
Oh, that could have been neat.
So, and if you're talking about an iconic structure, what will happen, I can tell you that in looking at all the designs that the different people are looking at, once completed, this bridge will be amongst the top 5 longest bridges in North America.
Well, and the thing is I've been seeing interesting designs. Like there's one down in Toledo, I forget what they call it, but it's got that center structure, the center support structure, which is completely different than what we are seeing for many years, obviously, in the Ambassador Bridge and the Mackinac Bridge, which we access a lot. But this is a different design, I think you're looking at, right? It may not be that way, but that's what it looks like in the artist's depiction, right?
That's right.
Can you, I don't know, do we go far enough on this video to see anything of a completion here?
You might actually see a little bit of it. And
do you remember that, Rob? Is there a completion on
there
this?
Is towards
the completed span on this video?
There is towards the end, and what I'll say is that we have 2 opportunities.
I'm probably interrupting you guys too much. I'm so excited about this.
We have 2 design types that we can use, which will be available over this part of the river. Right. One is suspension, which is very similar to the design of the Ambassador Bridge. Right. The other one is called cable stay. So both design options could be used over that length of span.
Which I mean, Ambassador Bridge has been up almost 100 years, right? I mean, that obviously works. So does the Mackinac Bridge, in 1957. But what would last the longest and be less likely to be the one that needs to be repaired or painted, often, that kind of thing? I don't know if you can even say that. I mean, is composite material going to be used in this? Who knows, right?
And again, I'm not an engineer, and I can't tell you the final because what the final design is going to be. What we're going to be doing is that the bridge, we want to make sure the bridge is functional, but there has to be an aesthetic design to it as well.
Sure. Well, I think it's going to be beautiful. Whatever it looks like, it's probably going to be beautiful. I mean,
It'll be a new landmark for you as you're flying over the river.
It sure will. People will fly over Detroit or fly into Windsor and say, "Hey, look at the new Gordie Howe International Bridge,"
Absolutely.
which is nice that the name is Gordie Howe. And we're very proud of obviously Gordie Howe in our city.
Well, he's a Canadian, but yet he plays for Detroit.
Where was he born and raised? I forget the city.
He was
Laurel, Saskatchewan.
Okay.
Laurel,
That's,
Saskatchewan.
what a great man.
Yeah.
Super. And a really
True
genuine.
ambassador between the two.
We're thrilled. Okay, there's more.
So again, the POE refers to port of entry, which is essentially the inspection plaza. We're now looking at I-75.
It's 650. The bridge shows up at 650 into the video. Okay.
And I think
There's Waterman. There's Green Street.
Yes.
There's 75. So this is Mexican Town is going to come into view in here. And this is Southwest Detroit. Old Southwestern High School is probably on here. That's where my dad went to school, right down there. He just went past the old floor. There it is. Right
and
there.
so here we can see.
This is 4th Street right here.
That's right.
Yeah.
These are going to be the new ramps going in and out of the bridge.
That's not going to be too difficult to add to this, is it? I was thinking, how are they going to make how are you guys going to do the interchange
Well,
stuff?
it's actually going to show it here. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a fairly complicated engineering feat.
Yeah.
Because there is an impact, obviously.
Right,
But
yeah.
you have to have, the direct connections.
Have the environmental studies been done too, by the
The
way?
environmental studies have all been done.
Yeah.
This is interesting. We're showing this is the existing service road. This is what we're looking at with the proposed service road alignment. So
Okay.
you're looking at a significant improvement there. And now take a look at the greening. So
Oh,
this
it's gonna
is
be pretty.
the green space in the medians and so on and so forth, impacting or going along the side of
It's
I-75.
gorgeous. It really is.
So we're not just building a bridge which is functional or
Sure.
a bridge that's going to address the needs of capacity and redundancy.
Well, and these are the
Trust-
areas too for the investments you're
We're
talking about too.
very-
Right? This whole area here.
We're very
becomes
conscious of how this is going to be and how it's going to shield the local neighborhoods, the communities on both sides of the border from the impacts of the bridge and the operations in there. This is a significant new, greening.
It's amazing. It's amazing. See, that's a flow onto the bridge right there, right? Coming off of either the north or southbound.
And that's
we call it
going-
the Fisher Freeway, but it's I-75.
That's right. And those are the ramps going into Canada. These are showing the ramps coming back out from Canada.
Yep. Okay.
We're
Okay.
just going to go ahead a little bit further, and again, now we're looking at sound walls.
That's
Again, a
good, yeah.
mitigation feature to
Sure.
help shelter the surrounding communities.
Absolutely.
The greening area.
Excellent. Again, this is the Fisher Freeway I-75 in there. Okay, now we're going to transition to the next photo of the video. There we go. That's where it comes through. Oh yeah, there you go.
Now, uninterrupted traffic flow, as we spoke about earlier, we're going to have direct highway-to-highway connectivity. That doesn't mean you can't stop. You don't have to stop for customs. You're going to have to
You have to
stop for
stop.
customs.
Right.
You'll be paying the tolls on the Canadian side, whether you're going to the U.S. or coming from the U.S.
Well, there's I don't do it because I don't go off that often. But what is it called where you pay a pass, right, on the existing crossings? Is that
We're looking at technology where you would have maybe passes which might be integrated with other tolling
in
systems.
the pavement system or an overhead or something
You
like
have
that?
a transponder in your vehicle.
Yeah.
We're looking at ways in which you can expedite traffic, whether it be commercial vehicles or passenger vehicles, moving back and forth.
Yeah.
This is a fairly good
This one's coming up
illustration
right
of
now.
what the bridge will look
There's
like.
a bridge right there.
And I will tell you, this is based on a cable stay design. This is not necessarily what the final design would look like. But again, talking about how you
Sure.
That,
sure. That's really amazing looking. And those cables all have Stephanie, what? They play a part in the stabilization of the bridge.
They do.
obviously.
It's really what's holding the bridge up. And just to go back to the multi-use paths, so for those who are riding their bikes or traveling in a wheelchair or walking, they will actually be on this side of the bridge.
Oh, okay.
And they'll be coming along. So
And that's
if
the
you're there
side
in the
that
morning,
you're
you'll have
facing
a beautiful,
downtown Detroit, downtown
exactly.
Windsor at that
You'll
point
have
in
a
time.
beautiful sunrise to look at.
Well, it'd be gorgeous. And it will when engineers build these bridges, they withstand so many different things: earthquakes, strong winds, tornado, all these things. The old bridges obviously had to do it. The new bridge has to do the same thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
So here's a visual of what the U.S. Inspection Plaza is
There's
going to look
downtown
like.
Detroit in the distance right there too.
And again, you can see the traffic going into the United States. This is the traffic leaving the United States going into Canada.
Oh, there's the walkway.
Yep. That's
Oh,
right there.
look at that! Look at that! Elevated to the customs, right? Is that what's happening?
Yes. No, actually, it's been moved onto this side. This was done in an early design. But if you look over here, beyond these trees, that would be Jefferson.
Okay, yeah.
So this walkway will actually be exiting here, and they'll be able
You tried to get them away
access
from the flow of
Jefferson.
traffic, didn't you? That's
Exactly,
what makes sense.
and it was important for a local road network. You know, you don't want, obviously they can't go onto I-75. You want them having accessible.
Right. But now, you know, I know you'll probably get to this, but you know, there are a lot of folks in Windsor that are watching or listening, and they listen to us on News Radio 950. How does the plaza look on the other side? Does it look?
And I didn't bring the animation for the Canadian Plaza. It's
That's
going to
okay.
be very similar.
Okay.
The size is somewhat different, 160 acres versus 130 acres approximately.
Okay. 130 acres over
On
in
the
Windsor.
Canadian
On
side.
the Canadian
It will
side,
have the
okay.
same greening landscaping.
There's the bridge coming into view, by the way. Which is
and-
proposed. That's just an artist's conception
is.
of what they think
Yes.
would be. But that looks pretty cool.
It's a cool looking structure.
It is. It is. What just color-wise? What is it? What do you
Again,
anticipate?
we haven't seen the final aesthetic design.
I mean, a dark gray, silver, ugly-looking bridge doesn't really appeal to us. How about something that looks a little bright and cheerful? You know, I mean, not that I'm
We can see
saying
what
to
we can do.
criticize. Yeah, thank you.
What
Just put my
color-
word
what
in.
color are
now.
you suggesting?
Oh well, I'm looking just like a light.
WWJ red.
Yeah, there you go.
That could be
There you
it.
go.
Red
Or
Wing-
that
Red Wing's red.
The Red Wing's red. That's it. There you go. The lights on there are probably going to be cool too, right? You can see these lights for miles.
Well, there's lots of opportunities to do things with the lighting too. So.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So again, you see leaving the plaza and then going into the interstate system.
Wow. This is really, really neat. That you
This
put
is
together
this
like
is very amazing how it's done. It's done on modeling and then
Yeah.
it's filmed, and I'm not too sure of all the technicalities.
Somebody that's smarter than me has done this, Mark and Stephanie. So this is there, but this is not Southwest Detroit. This
That's
will
right.
give you an idea where you're looking.
So
at
this
right
is the community on the north side of
Yeah.
75.
Yep.
They will remain. You know, West Verner is up just off screen.
Right,
So
right.
it's thriving commercial corridor.
Neat.
So
neat.
again, I-75. Again, note it's a significant amount of greening that's going in to shield again the communities on both sides.
So you're looking, standing in Southwest Detroit now. There you're looking across to Canada.
That's
now,
right.
There's
So
a great picture right
Canada
there. Stop
over
that.
here.
See, let's back that up a little bit. Just, I mean, take that all. I'd like to take that all in for just a moment. That's like really cool here. Watch this come into view here. Here we go, and then we'll stop it. There it is. There's the river coming into view, and then there's the bridge and the plaza. The U.S. Plaza here, obviously the Canadian Plaza is over there. Isn't that cool? And then let's continue it here. Look at how that looks. That is spectacular.
And there's no ice in the water today.
No.
A view of downtown Detroit.
Yep. Now, while we're looking at this, Stephanie and Mark, what do you once this happens, once the contract is let, you're going to start building the bridge. Okay. What's the timetable? What do you think? How long does it take? 2 to 3 years to build a bridge like this? A year to 2? What is the anticipated time? Will there be incentive on the contract to build it quicker? You know, so they get a return on their
I'm not going to go into
Will
the
it be a
details
Canadian?
of the
Will it be a
contract yet.
Canadian builder, or will it be a U.S. builder? I mean, that's a bid thing, right?
I can tell you this, that there's going to be job opportunities on both sides of the border, whether it be
That's good to know.
Windsor and Detroit or Michigan, Ontario, Canada, U.S. There's going to be significant job opportunities. The 3 bidding teams, if you will, are all comprised of U.S., Canadian, and international firms. And they've done that. They have local content in all the different teams.
And they will come to you with a conception of what they believe it should
That's
be,
right.
how it will look, when they'll start it, how long it will take,
That's
what
right.
materials. Everything has to be part of that bid
And let's be
contract,
clear
right?
that
You're not taking the low one on this. Are we? You know, I don't mean that in a bad way, but that's a lot of times what happens with a contract. It's the low bidder that gets it.
There's significant evaluation criteria. And let's be very clear that we're hiring a team, a component team, which is going to not only build and finance, but they're going to operate and maintain the bridge.
Yeah.
They're going to be making a revenue stream from the operation and maintenance.
So they're going to be here permanently, aren't they?
They are.
When they
and
build it, they're staying.
They're going to want to make sure that this is done as expeditiously as possible. One interesting, going back when President Trump was first in office, our Prime Minister Trudeau met with him in the White House. There was a joint communique that came out afterwards. The only infrastructure project that was mentioned in that joint communique was the Gordie Howe International Bridge.
I do remember that. Yeah.
And both the President and the Prime Minister said that they were looking forward to the expeditious completion of the Gordie Howe International Bridge.
Right.
Beyond that, so are the bidding teams, so are Canadian public and stakeholders, the U.S. side as well.
Get the name of your Minister of Transportation in Canada, who's been very upfront on this and been very helpful.
Amarjeet Sohi.
That's it. Please tell him we say hello, and maybe he'll get a chance to see this video because he has been very upfront and very wanting to get this completed as well. Tell him thank you from the folks in the U.S. about this. We really appreciate it.
And so that's the video. What I would invite everybody is that.
Well, this is all the different places you can go to.
This is all the different places. We have a very
there's a Windsor-Detroit Bridge.com. What's this right here?
That's LinkedIn.
Okay, that's okay. They're all
LinkedIn
gotcha. LinkedIn, the Gordie Howe Bridge. Okay.
Twitter, Facebook. We do hold quarterly public meetings as well in both Windsor and Detroit. So our next one should be, we had one in December at Fort Wayne. We'll be holding another one March, April timeframe.
Okay, March.
Public
okay.
is always welcome to come.
And they can find out by going to these websites, right, Stephanie?
Sure can.
Okay.
Sure can.
What other last items, George, you've been very good. George Fox, to hold up like this. It's so nice of you to hold for so long. And I have so many, wow, I'm just excited. So what last items, thoughts that you want to present to us that would be very important for all your viewers and our viewers to know? This is a very important thing for us.
I think going beyond the economic imperative and all the reasons why we're building the bridge, I think there is, and I'll be very fair about this, that there is some speculation out there the bridge isn't going to happen. I can tell you that we have spent already $350 million, 200 million on the U.S. on the Canadian side, $150 million on the U.S. side to prepare the properties, the plazas, in anticipation of the construction of the bridge. So we already committed $350 million. That doesn't even include the property acquisition. It's happening, and we will be starting construction of the actual bridge components in the summer of this year, in the June, July. So
we're talking about mid-20s, of 21, 22, maybe.
And you're not going to get me on that.
I'm not trying to.
Yes.
I'm trying to think, because when we start talking about this and people start anticipating it.
Absolutely.
But the good thing is what you both mentioned is that if you want to be involved in this project, you can go to these talks to give your input, get some ideas, but you could also think about, well, maybe I want to be part of the work crew here. I might want to be a customs agent someday. I might want to be part of a business that builds up near there. This is your opportunity to start thinking about these things.
That's an excellent point. Yesterday, our chief executive officer met with the president of a local community college in the Windsor side.
Oh, gosh.
We've had discussions with community colleges.
St. Clair College?
Yes,
that's what I thought.
On the U.S. side. Yeah. We know that beyond the construction period, which is a significant amount of jobs for skilled labor and so on and so forth, when we get into the actual operation of the bridge, we're looking at full-time jobs. You're right. There's going to be federal jobs on the inspection agencies both sides, toll collectors, maintenance people, administration, IT. You can name it. Yeah. This is going to be a significant employment opportunity for Windsor and Detroit for many years to come.
Well, any last comments or questions you might have?
Everybody's really positive, excited about it.
Oh, fantastic. A lot of thumbs up. Thanks for looking in, but I want to thank Stephanie Campeau, and I want to thank Mark Butler, Director of Communications, Director of you call it the shareholders? Stakeholders. There's so many people involved in this project. You meet two of the finest people here who have come across from Canada. Canada building the Gordie Howe International Bridge. We're going to start seeing that go up soon. Thank you to Rob Velasic for producing this as well. Thank you, Rob. And this interactive screen has been very, very helpful. Thank you both.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming across.
And thank you.
Stay right here. Stay right on here. Please look in on us. Share this again. Listen tomorrow morning. It's going to be a busy morning, probably with the snowfall. We're all concerned about that. We're going to be here. We'll be ready and prepared to give you the traffic reports as we all do. We love you being the tipsters that you are to call us. If you have any questions, don't forget to contact them. Go to the websites for the bridge. That's a very important thing to do. Go to some of the meetings if you can. But our telephone number, of course, the tipster line is 248-4236-WWJ. We'll be on tomorrow morning. Of course, you can listen to traffic reports right now. Tracy McGaskill's on with Jackie Page, and this afternoon you'll hear KT as well with Greg Bowman. And throughout the night, 24 hours a day, we have the traffic center operating. We appreciate you being part of this. Mark Butler, thank you, Stephanie, so much for being here. Thank you for being part of it. And the dream is coming true for a lot of people. Thanks for making it possible for us. Thanks a lot. Thanks for looking in on Facebook. We'll see you the next time. Have a great day.